I would say for very expensive cars, I would not go to an online auction. I think that the auction company, let's say that you have a top rate 300 SL, you have a Lamborghini Miura SV. It's going to be dependent on everybody seeing the car on a Bring a Trailer or Hemmings, whatever, P car market. Whereas RM, Gooding, Mecum, or a number of companies, they'll have a specialist call all the people they know who are interested in it.
How do we choose the right auction platform for a specific car?
Let's leave Bring a Trailer aside for right now. Okay, so let's talk about the land-based auction companies. There's about 5 or 6 that are good size, and then there's some. I call them feeder auctions, and that's not being cruel. It's just being kind of realistic. There are these regional auctions where I think there's some great buys, and there's some great cars that go under the radar. There's kind of the people too cheap to send them to a national auction, and I think that's really the number one thing that you have to worry about when you're going to a land-based auction is the entire cost of taking it. Not just the commission that you're going to be charged, which is going to be 10% of whatever the selling price is, most likely. Getting there, transporting the car, couple of nights hotel room, box of Kleenex crying, for when you sell the car for a lot less than you think. And you have a choice to take it either reserve or no reserve. And, quickly, reserve auction means that if it doesn't meet your number, then it won't sell. There's a little codicil of that's interesting because if it's a $200,000 car, it might sell at $195,000 or less than that, even though you'll net the same as you would as $200,000 car. Because keep in mind, they're making money on the sale side. They're getting 10% here and 10% there. And there's deals if you have more cars to, generally speaking, to get better than 10%, or less than 10%, or if you have a great car, they might cut your side of it. They're never going to cut, in incredibly rare cases, they cut the seller side of it. And there's a fee to enter it as well. So it can be really expensive to take it, but it can be worthwhile. I like catalog sales because the catalog has a description about the car, not only the car, but also where it fits in the history of the automobile, all that sort of stuff. But a good catalog description should have everything in there, the good and the bad. Usually the bad gets glossed over. You have to read them carefully, like any auction catalog, including an online auction category. For a lot of people, they decide to take the car close by because they're saving money. You're not saving money if you're getting less money for it. So let's say you live in Podunk and you want to take it to Podunk City for their big auction that comes around once a year, and your car, which might have been worth on the national stage $55,000, brings $25,000, and that happens all the time because the people there are there. A lot of the people there are not as aware of what the ultimate value would be of the car, or they're just doing it for expedience purposes, or that's where dealers buy a lot of cars as well. Not all of them, but they'll go to a sale that's not nationally recognized, and they'll pick the best out of that and take them maybe even on to the next sale. Don't cheap out, I guess, is the best way when you're choosing a land-based auction. Interview the auction companies. If they're not interested in it, then you just need to move on. That's it. The cheap way to go, which is a pretty good way right now, is Bring a Trailer or one of the competitors like Hemmings or a couple others. A P car market for Porsche cars and German cars, and they're cheap. They're not expensive because you're doing the work. You're doing all the work for the auction house. You're fielding the questions. You're representing the car. You're making that video, the startup, all that sort of stuff. You're sending them the 167 pictures, and they put it into their platform. You're writing out the description. It's the FSBO, the for sale by owner platform that costs very little money, and it's a good one for most cars. But if you have a really special car, let's say that your Porsche 911 was a one of 3, one of 13, one of 27, whatever it is, car, and it's very well vetted, and people are going to want to see that information, not just in black and white on a photo, but they're going to want to examine it in person. The bad thing about buying a car over the internet or through the mail or whatever way you want to is you don't get to experience the full car. If you go to an auction and the auction's there, you can open the door and say, oh my God, what died in this car because of the horrible smell in the interior that'll never go away. You can also see the subtleties in the paint that even though, photos are getting much, much better, you don't have, 100% DPI. You can't see the depth of the paint. You can't see this. You can't run a paint
Let
meter.
me stop you there. Are there certain cars where you just wouldn't take them to an online auction? Where they have to go to a catalog sale, like a car like that?
I would say for very expensive cars, I would not go to an online auction. I think that the auction company, let's say that you have a top rate 300 SL, you have a Lamborghini Miura SV. It's going to be dependent on everybody seeing the car on a Bring a Trailer or Hemmings, whatever, P-car market. Whereas RM, Gooding, Mecum, or a number of companies, they'll have a specialist call all the people they know who are interested in it. Mr. Smith, you've always wanted an SV that was factory black, and there's a chance of 3 of them, and here's one of them, and it's going to be on our sale in August, and it's going to be in Monterey. And for something like that, you definitely need a lot of hand-holding, or what's called hand-selling.
And a Bring a Trailer doesn't have a department that gets to know folks and say, hey, I know you bid on this. Well, you missed this one, but we got another one coming up.
Not that I'm aware of. I don't think they do. That's part of the beauty of their business. They're a low cost, but they're a no touch. Whereas a lot of these cars need a very high touch auction.
Is there any value to have a high dollar car to push it through an auction platform that's online? Is there any situation where that makes sense?
Well, I'm sure it does in some cases where a very, very popular car. Let's say, again, you've got a 911 and it's a GT3 RS, and everyone knows what that car is supposed to be, and so yes, it's going to be a $300, $400, $500,000 car, whatever it is, and they'll do well on a Bring a Trailer. But I think the older the car gets, the more, shall we say, opportunities for experience that the car has. I mean, to say you've got a car that you've restored that you're selling, I mean, to some people, restoration means taking it to Earl shops and getting a paint job. And to other people, it means disassembling, cleaning, and polishing every single part. And the difference is just so incredibly varied. But both cars, you could argue, have been restored.
So let's turn this around. What would be the opposite example of a car you wouldn't take to a catalog sale, but you'd want to be on a Bring a Trailer?
I think a fun car, like a under $30,000. I sold my 123 GT Volvo.
That was a cool car.
It was a cool car,
Yeah.
a very cool car, and it went to a very happy owner who, by the way, paid up because he loved my license plate and he lived in my state, so I could transfer my license
What
plate
was
to
the number plate again?
123 GT.
Oh, yeah.
So a great guy and a fantastic buyer and just a great experience. But I think that for me, after the fun money starts, and of course everybody defines fun money differently. For some people that's $10. For some people it's 10 million. I would say that kind of the $50,000 and under car, you might do very, very well. That being said,
At a Bring a Trailer.
yes, at a Bring a Trailer. That being said, if I had an extraordinary cute car, the
Fiat Jolly.
Fiat Jolly is the one that always comes to mind. But the other day I saw a blue Fiat 500, the new series, with a red top, and I'm thinking,
Oh, the Gucci edition.
yeah, I'm thinking, boy, that's a car to sell in person.
God, that thing is gaudy.
I know, and that's the reason why. But I mean, it's right out there, and it would do very, very well, following an $18 million Ferrari at a Gooding sale. They'll pull one of those on the floor, and it's like, do you realize the fees the guy paid to buy that car are less than this car is being sold for?
What do you see a Gooding or an RM or a Mecum doing in response to a Bring a Trailer? Or they don't?
Well, they already have, because they both have online sales, and I think we're going to see more of that coming up.
But we kind of talked about this in the last installment of this. What they're missing is the community. Like, yeah, they've got the specialist that can call Dave and like, hey man, I know you're an Avanti guy. I got a supercharged R1, whatever you call them, coming to auction. It's orange. It's just like you like, and that helps. That's their version of a community. But there's nothing quite as powerful as having I'll make it up. Let's say they have 100,000 people strong community. I don't know what it is. I'm just making up a number. There's a value to 100,000 people knowing, hey man, there's a UR Quattro on Bring a Trailer. Like everybody that knows me, when there is a UR Quattro on Bring a Trailer, I am the first person they text. Hey man, you got to get on Bring a Trailer.
I think that a combination of this high touch, like I was talking about, with an online platform would be a killer. But I would, this is just me. I would end those sales, the big ones. I would end them in person.
So a car like that.
Yeah, I would. Okay, open bidding on Thursday a week before the sale. So it's got 12 days, 13 days, 10 days, whatever, to run through, and then the sale happens on Saturday and happens in person. But it's a great way to get the bidding going and right up.
Do you think the cost of putting that on would actually outweigh the benefit?
Such a hard thing to say. I mean, you're going to spend $1 million on a ballroom, on the flying everybody out there, on bringing your sound system, on this, on that, whatever. It takes an awful lot to sell $1 million and to make $1 million profit on this.
Let's look at it a different way. Is there still an appetite for that experience in a room? The smell, how you and I sit there for 4 hours at a time watching people spend obscene amounts of money on these cars, and it's like only a minute goes by.
Yeah. Okay. Here's how I'm going to answer that question. You can have a 70-inch TV in your living room easily right now. It has a sound bar. It has a totally immersive experience. The heat is on in the middle of winter.
Yeah.
Unlike here. And and you're comfortable. You've got your own clean bathroom. You've got the food that you want and everything else. Why the hell would people go to the Super Bowl?
I wouldn't.
Well, okay. Yeah. You and I both wouldn't.
Yeah.
But I understand why people do, because it's the ultimate community. And I think that for these auctions, they are the ultimate community. And, of course, it's not their business to be the ultimate community. It's just the way that it happens.
I mean, to me, I would rather be at Scottsdale, at Gooding, sitting there and watching things going on rather than watching it on the 72 screen with the food that I wanted.
Yeah, whatever. And, Charlie Ross, please, sir, don't insult us again with another $5,000 bid. And, I mean, his great shtick, I mean, it's fantastic. And that sort of stuff, it doesn't translate to TV.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at it on TV, what a jerk that guy is. And, that this is the 13th time he's said something like that to this person who's a friend of his.
So let's go in a different direction. Are there certain cars that should remain on, like, the eBays of the world?
Yeah.
Like what?
Stuff I don't want to buy. I mean, cars with bad histories, cars that are just purely fun cars. Like, okay, I own this 79 Volkswagen Beetle. It's got 3,100 miles on it. The 310,000 mile 79 Beetle, that should probably go on eBay. I would never recommend anybody put it.
Okay, but serious question. Does that 3,100 mile Beetle, which is, let me tell you, this thing is in beautiful shape, does it go to Bring a Trailer or does it go to Gooding?
I'd take it to Gooding.
See, I would take it to Gooding as well.
I would.
Even though it's a Beetle, I think the combination of Gooding, Bonhams, and RM have proven they are unusually good at picking what's next.
Yeah.
Their what's next was the Samba. Then their what's next was the FJ. And now their what's next is a Bronco.
Right.
And I think
the Bronco is no longer what's next, that's for sure.
But they're the ones that made it what's next. And I think your Beetle is the what's next.
Well, could be. But I think that there's great appeal for extreme low miles cars. Yes, there is on Bring a Trailer a great appeal there too, but I think that a more, how do I put it this way, a more mature audience that wants a Beetle because they don't have one in their collection of 72 cars or something like that might be willing to pay up for it after vetting it in person at the auction.
What about the BMW 1M? What about completely ridiculous? What about a perfect 5,000 mile original Nissan Sentra SCR? Bring a Trailer?
Bring a Trailer.
Or Gooding?
Bring a Trailer.
Definitely Bring a Trailer.
I think
Why?
so, yeah. I think that, that skews a lot younger. And I think the people who understand it are not going to go to Gooding. They're going to be on Bring a Trailer 24/7.
So it sounds like Bring a Trailer is the right solution for someone who's 50 and under. And anything for someone that wants it above 50, Gooding RM Bonham's probably a better selection.
Well, I think you just solved it. We're done, right?
Okay, so in that case, we turn this around to the audience. And we ask, are we right or are we wrong on this? Is it of age? Is it money? Or is it the vehicle, case by the vehicle? Or maybe
a combination of all.
A combination of all it, or we're missing it completely. Let us know in the comments below. Or via our social media, MotoMan TV on Word, MotoMan TV on Word, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And with that, you can find this man on Twitter and Facebook. DH Kinney on Twitter.
Dave Kinney.
And Dave Kinney on Facebook. Also at Hagerty. And this is where we also ask for your help with the algorithm. What does that mean? Well, Dave, you know what it means? Click subscribe. Notifications. And of course, like and share these episodes with all your friends on your socials. Until Dave and I see you in the next episode. Or maybe just me I see you in the next episode. Because you're not in every episode. Bis später.